If you want to learn AutoCAD fast in just 30 minutes, I'll show you everything you need to get started, from drawing lines to printing your first project. No fluff, just real skills. Let's go. Alright, what you're going to learn at the end of this course is as stated above. You're going to be able to set up the drawings. You're also going to be able to learn the basic drawing tools, modifying tools, object organization, which talks about setting up the layers and how you can use them on your various projects, annotations and dimensions. You're also going to learn blocks and hatch, layout, printing and exporting. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you to go ahead and like this video so that more people can benefit from it. Turn on the notification bell so that you will get notified each time we upload new tutorials like this. And if you have any comments, you can leave it on the comment section below. Let's begin. Alright, so this is what you see after double clicking on the AutoCAD icon. This is the startup page, so it's going to appear like this. On the right hand side, you're going to see this recent, which is about your recent files, the projects you've worked on, as you can see them on this side, which simply means if you want to open any of them, just click on any of them. It's going to open for you, or you can go to the left hand side and you have these two options here. Open is when you need to navigate and search for a file which is probably inside your desktop or any folder of your choice. For instance, if I click on it, you're going to see three different options: open files, open a sheet set, explore sample drawings. So we're going to talk about some of these ones later, but for now, for open files, if I click on it, you're going to see different folders and different files of AutoCAD. Each and every one of them I need, I'll just go for it and then click on open. But here I'm going to cancel it out. The second option is new. If I drop this down, I can directly open this AutoCAD.dwt, which is a new AutoCAD template, or you can browse for more templates, or you get more templates online. To browse for more templates, once I click this, click on any of them and then you open a new file. But here I'm just going to cancel this out and just click on the new and go for this AutoCAD.dwt. So once you click on it, a new AutoCAD file opens up. Now this is a new file that requires setting before you can start drawing anything on it. So first of all, what you have to set is the name of the file. You can set that according to the client. Here by default, AutoCAD is going to name it drawing 1. That is to say, if you want to open more files, it's going to follow the order of drawing 1, drawing 2, drawing 3 and so forth and so on. But to set up a name for that, what you just have to do is to go to the AutoCAD icon at the top here, or you go to the file right here at the left top corner, click on it, and then you go to save as. On this box you can name it. I'm going to name it as AT002 and then click on save. You can give it more directive as well by opening a folder. Now that's the first step. Then the next step is for you to set up the drawing units. To set up the drawing units, you have two options. It is either you just go ahead and type units, UN for units, enter. The unit window pops up. Let me cancel this out. The next option where you can find the units feature is to go to format on the menu bar here and then click on format. See units, click on it. For length type, here if you drop this, those are different options of your drawing units. Now they all represent different things. So if you leave it on decimal, it means your drawing units is going to be in millimeters, centimeters, meters and kilometers. All depends on your choice. But then if you select the architectural and engineering, that means your drawing units is going to be in inches and in feet. And the system is going to assume that each drawing unit represents 1 inch, and the other formats can represent any real world units. But here we are going to just leave it as decimal, and for the precision we are going to pull down this and choose the precision we need. Here I just want it in 1 decimal place, so I pick 0, and coming down to this unit to scale inserted content. What this means is that whenever you import a file from external source into AutoCAD, it's going to take up whatever unit you set here. I'm going to set millimeters because that's my preferred unit, and then for the lighting here, you can just leave it at international. We have international and America, so you can just leave it as international, it doesn't matter. Then we'll go to angle type. Here we have decimal degrees. If you pull this down, you also have degree, minutes and seconds. We have grades, we have radians, surveyors units, all depending on what you want to be working on. So I'm just going to leave it as decimal degrees, and for the precision I also leave it here as 0. For this box here, you don't need to check it because the system calculates positive angles in the clockwise direction. Now the default direction for positive angle is counterclockwise. Then you go to direction here and set the base angle either east, northwest and south. So I pick east, and then you come here and click on OK. Now you have set the units for this drawing page. Then up next is the drawing limits. Looking at this workspace here, this is like an infinite drawing space. What we are going to do here is to set up the limit within which we'll be making our drawings. So you go back to formats there, or you can type LIM for limits. Here you see drawing limit and click on it. If you check the command line here is saying specify lower left corner or on and off. So here we're just going to type in 0,0 as the lower left corner and click on enter. The next it says specify upper right corner. Then let's assume we are using A3 sheet space dimension for our drawing limits. Let's go and see what it looks like, what the values are. So I just go to plot here. Let's continue to plot a single sheet. Then this window opens up. Now if you drop down paper size here, all right, ISO A3 for the horizontal here is 420 millimeters by 297 millimeters. So I close this up and then I cancel this. Here I'm just going to go back to formats, drawing limits, and then here 0,0, enter. Specify upper right corner. I'm just going to enter here 420,297, enter. So that limit is set up. Now just to show you what that means, if I pick rectangle here and say specify first corner point, all right, and I specify 0,0 and I hit enter, specify other corner points, all right, so 420,297, enter. So you have the rectangle. Look at the space of the rectangle, but for you to see it clearly I also need to zoom all. So I click on Z, enter. Then we have here different options of zooming. We have all centers, dynamic extent, previous scale windows and so forth. So I'm just going to click on A for all and I click on enter. So we have this space here as our drawing limit space. Now if I select a rectangle right here and do anything here, I'm just going to be drawing within this limit. That does not mean you cannot draw outside the limit. You can draw outside the limit as well. All right, you can make your drawings anywhere within this environment. Again, if I go back to limits, this time around I'm going to use LIM as shortcut and click on enter. Specify lower left corner or on, off. So if I click on, you have turned on the limit, and then if I try to make a drawing within the limit, I have this. Then if I try it outside, you can't be able to do any drawing outside that limit, all right? So I go back to the limit command by typing LIM, enter, turn it off. Once it's off, you can now make your drawings both inside and outside of the limit. And that's it for the limit setup. Now moving on to layer properties, as to how you can set up this and also the annotations and dimensions, you need to watch the video which I am linking above, and the video link is going to be on the description box of this video. Now let's move on to some basic drawing tools, and for that I'm just going to switch on to another drawing page which is right here. Now right here, if I go to layer properties and drop this down, you're going to see that some of these layers are set up already. You can learn how to do that on the video which I'm linking here. So let's move on to some basic drawing tools. So I'm going to start with line on the home tab. These are drawing tools. So I pick a line. If you pick any item here, you're going to see here on the command line, specify first point. So for line, once you click at any point, you have specified first point, and you can either go left, down, right, or up. Clicking on the second point will establish the line. Then the next thing you want to do is to change the direction. To terminate it, just hit enter, or you right click and click on enter. Then I'm going to pick the line once again. Draw a line like this by clicking on the first point. Then instead of just clicking at random, you can enter the value of the next point, which is the length of the line. So here I'm going to say 3000 millimeters. Enter. It will establish that line at 3000 millimeters. If you change the direction, you can also use value to ascertain the distance and click on enter. Then for this, you can just go and connect the line there. Right click and hit enter, or you type enter on your keyboard, so you have that there. The second type of line is polyline. So we are going to pick polyline next, clicking on the first point as the order, second point, third point, fourth point, as the case may be. Now this is the polyline. The difference between the polyline and ordinary line is that the polyline will always appear as a block, all right? But if you do that with the ordinary line, if you select one part, you see they are all at their individual elements, is not a block, but the polyline is a block. To convert this polyline to their various elements, all you just have to do is select it and then use the explode command right here. Once you click on the explode and then go and select one, you see they are now individual lines, just like the ordinary line. All right, now another thing I want you to understand is that the explode command can actually happen in two different ways. For instance, I undo the explosion and you select it, they are all as block once again. Now, if you want to use the explode command, you can just go straight to explode and first of all click on explode. Here AutoCAD will prompt you to select object. You come and select the object, hit enter on your keyboard. You will notice that the lines are broken up. Once they are broken up like this, you can also turn them back into a polyline by selecting everything once again and go to modify right here. Once you drop this, here you see a feature called join. Click on that feature and come back to select it. You see they've all joined back. Similarly, if you want to turn the ordinary line into a polyline, the same thing is applicable. All you just have to do is to come here and select all, and then go to that feature, click on join. When you come here to select it, you see it has turned back to polyline. Then the next is circle, but before we move into circle, we need to explore more about different lines. So here, if you go to this draw here, there's an arrow here pointing down. Once you click on it, you expand this more to see different other kind of lines. Here you will have the spline. Spline here have two options. We have the first one here, which is draw a spline with fit points. Then the second option here is draw a spline with control vertices. Now we are going to look at the first one. When you select it, here you are going to see as usual prompting you to specify first point. Then the first point, let's assume, is here, and you can go just however you want it. Now to end it all, let's say this is how I want it, you can right click and click on enter, or you hit enter on your keyboard. Then the next is the second kind of spline, which says draw a spline with control vertices. Select it and then specify the first point. Then you go. So when you're going, you see a traceable lines following what you're doing. When you're done, right click, enter. Now this is where the difference lies. If I select this, you're going to see at these different points, in case you need to modify it more, you can just do something using those nodes there. But this particular kind of spline, it's obvious. Some of these points here are used to reshape the spline. That's what makes them different. So that's it for the spline. I'm just going to hit escape to leave the command. Then I still go back to draw. The next is construction line. We're going to create a construction line of infinite length. So once you select it, here you specify a point, but it's going to depend on whether you want it horizontal or vertical or angular, bisect, offset, depending on how you want it. So we are going to explore the differences. For horizontal, all you just have to do is to come and click on the horizontal, and you see the line in a horizontal form. Now I'm going to do something different by clicking on polyline as well. So I'm just going to make something that looks like a step like this, and I right click and click on enter. So we have this. Let me move this up a bit, and I go back there and pick construction line, and I select this, and here I'm just going to select for the vertical. So let's say I want to trace all of these vertical points one after the other. All I just have to do is to come here and I click the first point, click the second point, click the third point. You're going to see some of these points as they snap at those points. That's because my object snap is set up right on this AutoCAD drawing page. So to also learn how you can set up your object snap, the video that is linked, you also need to watch it to be able to learn that, because they are all captured in that video. So I'm just going to hit escape to leave the command. However, you can also trim the construction line however you want it. So since it's infinite, you can't extend it further, but you can trim it. So all I just have to do right now to prove that is draw a line like this. Maybe I copy the line and place it somewhere here, and I want to trim off this bottom part and the upper part. So I just go here and select trim, and then I come here and trim those parts away. So we have that there. So that's it. Now we go back to drawing panel, and then we'll pick construction line once again. Then here I go for angle type. We are going to enter the angle of the construction line. So here I'm just going to say 45 and click on enter. Now if you want it to rotate this other way, all you just have to do is to hit enter for the construction line command once again, and then click on angle. Maybe 345 will take it to this other direction. All right, so I'm just going to say 345 degrees and click on enter. You can see it rotates the other way around. So all you just need is to know the angle you're looking for, and the construction line will answer you based on that. I'm going to delete all of these construction lines so that it doesn't confuse us. And then we move on to the next type of construction line. So I drop this down and click on the second one. Here they say create a line that starts at a point and continues to infinity. I pick this line right now. Specify a start point. If you read at the command line here, let's say start point is here. Now here is going to also suggest either you're going downward, upward, left or right, depending on your choice. So let's go upward, and I click. That's the second point. It's also suggesting whether you go right once again. So if you click, it establishes it there. And then here again, if you click, it will establish that there. If you click, it will establish that there. Now to leave the command, just right click as usual. The command will go off. So we have this starting from this point we have this, the same thing, we have this, the same thing. Again, even if you need to draw some angular kind of construction line using this same type of construction line, all you have to do is to go back to that construction line, select it, say I want it at 30 degrees. All you have to do here is to use shift and less than, just press it simultaneously, and then you type 30. Then once you click on enter, you're going to see the 30 degrees angle line there. Then if you click at the second point, it's going to establish that there. Then let's say you want it at 280 degrees, all right? All you just have to do is to do the same thing. Now shift less than, you type 280 degrees, click on enter, and it's going to appear there. Once you click the second point, you establish that there. It's making further suggestions to you. So if you know the angles you want, it is easy and simple to do that. Now I'm just going to hit escape key. Then let me delete all of this. So we have that there. Now for circle, if you click on the circle tool here, you're going to see different options of circle, all right? So the first one here is center radius. So if I select this, the option is activated here. So all I just have to do here is look at the command line, center point for circle, or, and you have all of this. So if I specify the first point of the circle, it is telling you specify radius of circle or diameter. Now, if it's radius, all I just have to do is to type R and I hit enter. Then let's say the radius of the circle is 10,000 mm. Then I click on enter. We have the circle of 10,000 millimeters radius, all right, which of course the diameter is going to be 20,000 millimeters. So if you pick your dimension to confirm that, from the center point to the circumference there, you have it as 10,000 if you check. Then if you go from end to end, you will have it as 20,000. So the next thing you want to do is go back to the circle and then pick for diameters, all right. If you click on the first point and you select diameter here, let's say diameter is going to be, say, 20,000, and I hit enter, you're going to have it there as well. Let's move on to the second type of circle. If I drop it down and also select this second type, they say center diameter. So I click this, then specify the first point. Here AutoCAD prompts you to specify diameter of circle. Let's assume it's going to be 20,000 as well. Once you click on the 20,000 there, it appears almost similar to this, just that this is from radius to circumference. Now there are other types of circle, but let's move on to arc. But before then, let's have this line here and know what the dimension is. So I'm going to select linear dimension and click on both ends. So we have this line as 6,000 millimeters. So I'm going to delete the dimension, and then I pick arc. Here we are going to specify the first point of arc or center. Now I pick this end as the first point, then specify either the center or end of the arc. So I'm just going to move this cursor along that line. Either you come to this end, but I don't want to click, I want to specify it by the value. So I'm just going to type E for end and click on enter. Now I haven't done that, just make sure it's along the line, otherwise it's going to bend. Then you enter the value, which is going to be 6,000 mm, and hit enter. Now the direction is downward on the command line, angle, direction, and radius. I'm going to select angle and probably hold my control key to turn the direction of my arc to the direction I want, which is upward. Take your hands off the control key after you have turned the direction, and then enter the angle at which you want the arc to curve. Now I want the arc at 60 degrees, so I'm going to enter 60 and hit enter. So we have the arc there. Then if you pick angular dimension here, just to see what the dimension is, you see that it's 60 degrees. So that's how to apply this arc. Then the next tool there is rectangle. So if I also drop this, you have polygon, and then we have rectangle. All right, so I'm going to show you how you can apply the two. Now for rectangle, you can either select the rectangle and then just make a random rectangle like that, or you specify the dimensions of a rectangle. So you just pick rectangle and then click at any point where you want the rectangle to be. As you can see, it follows you. Just to specify the dimensions, type D, enter for dimensions. The length here, we can give it maybe 6,000 and click enter. And then the width, we can leave it for 3,000 millimeters and click enter. It appears there. Before you click, finally, you can actually take it to whichever direction depending on the orientation you want. All right, so finally you have to click for the rectangle to be there. So if you go for the dimension, if you try to check the dimension, look for the linear dimension, and then you can see that the length is 6,000 millimeter. Click on enter and place it here, place it at this other end. You see the width is 3,000 millimeters. So that's it. I'm going to turn this from rectangle to polygon, and it's now active. So we are going to have polygon of 6 sides. Now first of all, just before the polygon, let me draw a line from center point of this circle to this point, and probably use extend to extend this to the other end of circumference. So with this now, we can be able to ascertain what exactly is the diameter of this. So the diameter is 20,000 millimeters. So let's go and pick our polygon. Now here I say enter number of sides. Let's use 6 sides of the polygon and click on enter. It's going to ask you, of course, to specify center of polygon or edge. Now I'm going to specify the center of this circle. After specifying that, you can read also inscribe in circle, or you circumscribe about circle. For inscribe, we are going to use I for inscribe. Then for circumscribe, we are going to use C. So I type in I and hit enter. Now you can see the polygon at the center there. But the next prompt says specify radius of polygon. Now what is the radius of this circle? We have 20,000. It's going to be 10,000 millimeters. So I'm just going to type in 10,000 and hit enter. So we have the inscription of the polygon there. Then for the next option, let's also copy this out. All right. Then I pick polygon of 6 sides. We have the command there already. And then specify center point. I click there and I type in C for circumscribe. All right, then specify radius, which is going to be 10,000 as well. Click on enter, and then finally you can see we have the circumscribe type. Here the polygon is inside the circle, here the polygon is outside the circle. So that's it for polygon.